Good afternoon. Can I see the presentation, please? Good afternoon. Okay. Let's see if the presentation is coming. How was lunch? Was it good? And tell me, how much did you enjoy this morning Nick's session? How many of you did you enjoy that? He did an amazing job. Thank you, I agree with that. So this is my fourth visit to Iran. So my fourth time that I come to spend time with you in the country. So I start to feel home, as Sepper was saying in the introduction. And I like to use this afternoon to elaborate on some of the themes that Nick introduced around three areas. Things around life, some things around leadership, and some things about becoming legendary. So those will be revolving, touching all those three areas as we move along today. And this is what evoked me from listening to Nick this morning, which what you see here on the screen is a race. And it's a race that happened in 1954. And at that time, it was thought that the man could not run faster mechanically, from biomechanics, couldn't run faster than 4 minutes per mile. So 1 mile could not be run faster than 4 minutes. And this is what you see on the screen now. This is what happened in the UK, in Oxford. And this guy that you see here, with the number 41, by the name of Roger Bannister. And this is the day that he broke that record. Roger Bannister, May 1954. So that day, you will see the record moved into 3 minutes, 59 seconds and something. So just a little bit. And we could think about, there's been so many records being broken in the history of humankind, not only in sports. Probably sports is one of the easiest one to think about. But the reason why this evoked me, this morning presentation from Nick, was that something happened right after this race was broken, which was in 4 weeks, a second human being broke it. In the same year, 16 human beings broke it again. In 2 years, there were more than 300 people that broke the record. The last time I trace it, I track it down, it was El Jarrou, the Moroccan, and he did it in 3 minutes and 43 seconds. So 17 seconds faster than Roger. So the thing that evoked me again, it's not the race itself, was that by spending the time with Nick this morning, it inspires me to exactly this, or metaphorically this to me, which is what seemed to be this morning for me impossible. After spending this few hours with him, becomes desirable. So eventually, what it was a race, in this case of Roger Bannister, it was a race against the clock. What happens in life is that it's actually a race to conquer yourself. And once you conquer yourself, you set the example for others of what it's possible. So I think that if you enjoyed this morning Nick as much as I did, that he deserves, he's not with us now, but a good round of applause. Thank you. So, if we could go back to mathematics, simple mathematics, and we would be back to school. I don't know if you are willing to go back to the days in school, but if we would be willing to do that, and I would ask you, what is the shortest distance between 2 points in mathematics? The answer is the straight line, extraordinary. But if I would ask you, what is the shortest distance between two hearts, what is the answer? Oh my God, not so easy. What is the shortest distance between two hearts? An authentic smile. Thank you. So some people know the answer. An authentic smile. So let's do this. Let's connect with our neighbors. So look at your neighbor. Open up a big smile. Look in the eyes and say, Sendam. Come, do it. Sendam. Come on, but do it with some energy. Well done. So, as we move into these three concepts that I wanted to touch with you, which is life, leadership, legendary, or becoming legendary. There are three battles that the humankind has beaten. And it was a part of our history. But they are now, it's past for us, which is we conquered these three terrains. Number one is the one of starvation. So now we produce more food that the entire world could eat. It's badly distributed, so there's a work to do there, but starvation is no longer what it used to happen. Like, for example, we had bad crops in Europe and killed 1/3 of the population. The same happens with pandemics or diseases. We conquered that as well as the humankind. So there is no disease today that we cannot control, eradicate, or at least we have a very strong hope that will not disseminate in the humankind. And the third one is about war. And now we control war. So we still have some wars, but we control it. So in the past, you go back like 150 years ago, and we had starvation, we have diseases, we have wars all the time. So now the question for us is, and then what's next? What's going to come if this has been conquered? These are the next three terrains that we want to conquer. The first one is eternity. I'm going to use some words that in a way are new and stretching. Some of them make me at times even nervous, which is, I was reading coming to Tehran that Google has put 1 billion in a company called Calico, whose business model is to kill disease or to produce eternity. So basically, it's how we can extend the lifetime of a human being to life forever. So that's the next one. And you have biogenetics and all these kind of things that they are known to you. There is a second terrain to conquer, which is to create life. So in a way to play divinity, which is how we create another life in non-natural ways, like cloning as an example. So that's the second one. And the third one is that if we're going to live longer, much longer, then an area that it's always been so important in the life of an individual agenda, being the happiness, takes even a higher role. So that is the third battle to conquer, which is the battle of happiness. And I would like to work with you and debate with you some ideas around happiness too. So I mentioned about leadership. So what is leadership? This is my definition for leadership. Some of you are in business, some of you are less involved in business. Makes no difference because we are all leaders. So look at your neighbor again. Look at your neighbor. Good. You look at your neighbor and look at him or her and say, you are a leader. And so am I. So, either we are strongly involved in business or not. This is the definition that I came after the years, which is leadership is about making others better. Making others better because of my presence, your presence as a leader, and make the impact last after in my absence. So it's basically about using every interaction with a human being to produce a profound change in that human being. So it's about making others better because of my presence and make that change lasting after in my absence. So this is about creating change on others. This is a way in which we define leadership. And we come to life equipped with 14, using the metaphor of golf. I don't play golf, but metaphorically, I think can serve the purpose. we have 14 clubs in which you use some of the clubs for long range, some others for short range, some are wood, some are metal, but we go in live usually using one or two. The other 12 stay in your box, in your toolkit. And we continuously use one or two at the most. So let's explore in the time that we have left how we can use some others for us to become or enjoy a better life. So I'd like to introduce this idea about an achieved life, which is, if I could define with you or share with you, how I come to understand, what is an achieved life, a life that it's worthy, a life that it's full of greatness. What would that be? And I would like us to draw an imaginary map, as if a life could have a map. So we're going to play with that for a few minutes. And that map has got 2 dimensions. Because I don't know if you feel like, if you have a lot of internal conflicts. I have a lot of internal conflicts. I feel like torn apart in multiple directions. Like if I want to do that, but at the same time I want to do that simultaneously. So I don't know if you feel that. That's something that I do feel. So let's see if we can provide a framework, an idea, an understanding to why that happened and what can we do about resolving that in a better way. So one part of the map, one of the frontiers of that map is what we call here professional. And professional is your dimension in which you obtain the recognition, the status, the compensation, the growth, your colleagues, your bosses, your teams, your professional growth, your new challenges. All those kind of elements is what would define as professional. So I'd like us to do one exercise. Again, this is an imaginary map. So where you see yourself in that category, in that part of your life, from 0 to 10. 10 being, I have an extraordinary professional life. And 0 is, oh my God, what a shame. So I want you to make a mental map. A mental point. Are you 0, 5, 7, 3? If you're not working at the moment, you can use that for what is my life mission. If you're taking care of the family or you're a caretaker, use it as well. That's your professional dimension. Once you have it, raise your hand, say, Vale. Merci. So this is the second part of the map, which is the personal dimension. And when I refer to the personal dimension this is about your health, your vitality, your relationship with your spouse, relationship with your children, with your friends, with your hobbies, what you do with your spare time. What about your spiritual dimension? How you enjoy that as well. And do the same thing. How do I feel I am there? 0 meaning I have oh my God, what this is a shame. And 10 is I have an extraordinary personal life. Once you have that done, raise your hand, say, Vale. Thank you. So in this map, and I'm using purposely these 2 dimensions to start visualizing conflict. Actually, they are part of our personal life. But let's play with this. And this is usually what I come across when I sit with audiences like ours, or when we have these sharings, which is what we have. Let me do this. What we have is we have a very, very strong professional life. Look at this. Isn't it fun? I love this. I don't know how it works. Anyway. Very high professional life, but the personal life is average. Or it's something that it's doing just so and so. Or the opposite, which is personally, my personal life. Let's see if I can do that. Anyway, this dot over here. The personal life, can you see that? Is that I have a very, very powerful professional life. I go to the gym. I take care of myself. I spend time with my family. I feel fit. I feel vital. I spend a lot of my time and energy in my spiritual dimension. But I don't have professional opportunities. I don't devote the energy that requires for my business to grow. And that's what I fail in one or the other. And the opposite applies as well. I am so devoted to my business. I give my time, my energy, my thinking, everything in my heart. I apply that to my business, that I am not at home. I'm not present for my people. I don't have that specific life. I know I am in debt with the Creator. You see that? I don't know what applies to you, but this is what I usually come across. And then this is where you start pulling from the dot at the bottom, where you see, personally I'm doing so well, but professionally not so bad. So you start sacrificing things like, I skip going to the gym, or I skip taking the children to school in the morning, or I skip some of the personal areas so that I spend more time in my business, or I do some other things in my business. But once I am in the business, I don't belong there. And I go back to my personal experiences, so to speak. And the other way around applies as well, which is I am so much into the business that I don't devote any of my energy and my time to my family and my loved ones, or my spiritual life, or to myself. So that what I do is I stop working earlier, I go and do that areas of my personal life, but while I'm there, I'm doing my email, checking my email, or I have my thinking somewhere else, but I'm not fully present. These are the two things. So we move back and forth between those two axes. This is where, in a way, I feel, and I feel that myself at times, where you feel torn apart, where I know I need to do this, but at the same time, I want to do that too. So we continuously move in these two axes. Now, what happened if you failed in the two? So you say, my personal life is not so good, my professional life is not so good, and that doesn't happen in this place. Then this is what we call the valley of excuses. So this is when we are in our head telling a story about why nothing works in my life, why my professional life is not so good, why I don't have opportunities, and why I don't connect well with my spouse and my children. This is why we call it the valley of excuses. Coming across from this area of failing on the two axes. I don't know if somebody could help me with this. Okay, here it comes. All right, if somebody can help me with the pointer. I need to stay near the laptop. Okay, ooh, look at that. Isn't it funny? I love this. So imagine that what you see here is a mountain range, but it's a 2,000 meters high mountain range. It's shorter than those that we have close to Tehran. So moving from the valley of excuses, from the valley of excuses to the valley of expectations, crossing that mountain range is rather easy. It's only 2,000 meters high. So you just need a little bit of preparation, a little bit of water, and you can do that. And then you move into the valley of expectations, which is when in your life, the two dimensions work reasonably well. Not perfectly well, but reasonably well. And there is what we call the valley of expectations. So things go well enough, not outstanding, but there we have a very uncomfortable feeling. And that feeling that we have is that I give a lot to life, and life gives me back just a little bit. So I put a lot of effort, and the reward that I receive is too little. Does this make sense? Then, what do we need to go into what we call the achieved life? The achieved life being, look, ooh. Well, the achieved life being, is there any, if somebody can help me with a different one so somebody from the organization can help me with another clicker, please. If not, I'll carry on. Then to move into an achieved life, this is not a 2,000 mountain range. That is a Himalayas. That is an 8,000 meters high. And for that, it's not a small effort. That requires coordination, planning, and understanding of some of the ideas that I will be sharing with you. So let me just leave this formulated for a second. We will try to resolve this later on together. But for a second, for this time of the presentation, let's leave this formulated. Because I wanted to give a distinction that it's in business, and for us there will be a lot of achievers in this room, people that really care about our business. That would be an achieved life, could be the gold medal, so to speak. But the other two are not at the same level. The silver one is the personal one, and the bronze one is the one for the professional life or career. And there is a reason why, which is professionally there are rules. There are rules that you can know and understand. In the personal life, there is an absence of rules. So it is much more complex to have a victory in your personal life than it is in your professional life. So let me move on. We will come back to here. Because, to the question, and why it's so difficult to win this game of life? It is tremendously difficult. I don't know if you feel that, but I do feel that. And these are the 7 reasons why we believe that it's so difficult to win the game of life. Number 1 is because we don't know the purpose. We don't know the purpose. If I would ask you, what is the purpose of your life? Why is the world better because you exist? Or what will the world be missing if you would disappear from the face of earth tomorrow? That will get you closer to your purpose. So we start playing the game of life, and we don't know the purpose yet. And even if we don't know the purpose, we have thousands of rules of what needs to happen to be loved, or what needs to happen to feel successful, or what needs to happen to feel in a certain way. We have thousands of rules, and not only for us, but also for others. To feel loved, I need to receive 3 kisses, 4 looks, 3 words, with this intonation, with 10 hugs, 4 times a day, plus 3 text messages, and then I will feel loved. And I don't know the purpose, but I have millions of rules about that. The third one is that I don't know the purpose, we have thousands of rules, and these rules are in conflict. And we talk about conflict already. So, wow, I want to have a successful business life, but I also want to have a good family life. So they are in conflict too. And there are times when we follow the book, we follow what the book, the rules, we do everything that it's supposed to be done, and we do it all the time, and still we don't get the reward. We didn't get the rewards. We fail. Saying in other times, and in other words, we fail. And there are times that we break the rules and we win. So we don't know the purpose of the game. We're full of rules. They are in conflict. Sometimes we break the rules and we win. Sometimes we follow the rules and we don't win. And then we play that with all the 7 billion people that don't know the purpose of the game, that they have plenty of rules, that they have the same situation as us. And finally, we play that as a life or death game, which is not a life or death. So this is how we set the standard so hard for us to remember. We wanted to talk about happiness, and we start saying, how difficult we make it to ourselves to just feel or have moments of happiness. This is a story I want to tell you about my daughter. Some of you know it. Some of the known faces know it. My daughter's name is Natasha. What's my daughter's name? Thank you, Natasha. She's 26 now. But the story that I'm telling you happened when she was 15, 1-5. So Natasha calls me one day in my mobile. I don't know in Iran how many times the daughter called the father. In Europe, once a year. In Spain, where I come from, never. So if your daughter calls you in your mobile, then you better pick it up. So I take the call, and there is Natasha. I said, Natasha, what happens? I was in the business, but I stopped the meeting. What happens, Natasha? I said, no, Daddy. And she was crying and weeping. Daddy, I have a problem. But what problem? Where are you? Where are you? Who is with you? What can I do for you? What's wrong? Daddy, you don't understand. This is terrible. Boom. And she hung up. What happened to your heart? Boom. Stop. Gone. What is the first thing you do as a father? What is the thing you do? You call again. And what happens to Natasha's phone? What happens? The line is busy. It's bing, bing, bing. Because she's talking to whom? Tell me, to whom? With mommy. She's calling for mommy. For how long? Tell me, how long? How long? 1 hour? 1 hour minimum. 3 hours, 4 hours, 1 week. I don't know. Eternally. And there I was calling again, Natasha. Calling. And Natasha doesn't respond. And then after a while, I have a phone call. Who do you believe is calling me now? The mother calling me. And she nearly killed me. You're a bad father. You don't know what happened to your daughter. And I was there myself, with my heart attack about to happen. I said, yeah, but what happened? I said, you are such a bad father. I want to have a night council at home. And she hung up. I don't know what is a night council, by the way. I just needed, I needed to be home. I just was thinking about, what is his name? What is the name? I need to kill somebody. I need to kill someone. I need to kill someone. I just need a name. And I go home for dinner, and dinner is ready. And there is my wife with the eyes swollen of crying, and there is my daughter with the eyes swollen twice as big out of crying for, I don't know, for hours. And there she's Natasha. And crying. But Natasha, what happened? Just give me a name. Give me a name. In my mind, I was loading the gun. Give me a name. Just give me a name. I will sort that out for you. Give me a name. No, you don't understand. I need psychological aid. Psychological help. I said, but Tasha, what happened to you? She's 15. What happened? Oh, you don't understand. You don't understand what is happening to me. I said, but what it is. Daddy, I have acne. Now the question, is that a normal problem or an abnormal problem? It's a normal problem. Actually, if she didn't have that problem, she would have a problem. If she didn't have what she called the acne problem, she will be having a problem because she would not be evolving as a woman. Would you agree? Well, we live our lives, basically most of us, fighting for problems which are natural to our age in our life cycle, as opposed to fighting to those which are totally desynchronized to what is our age. So this is what I learned from that discussion with Natasha, which is every situation, and think about a situation that you have either at home or in your business that you are dealing with, and you don't know the answer yet. For Natasha, my daughter, the situation was the one I described. 10 being, this is very intense, and 0 meaning it's a very easy situation for me. For her was, let's say, kind of 8. I don't know what the number, but let's say 8 or 9. It was, for her, was life or death. So think about one problem, one situation that you are dealing with at the moment. Just think about it, because I want us to work on one exercise. Okay, you got it? Once you have it, raise your hand, say, Bale. Good. So situations in itself, like the one with Natasha, they are not difficult or not. They are difficult, relevant to you or to me. So actually what Tasha was saying was I feel at the level of 3, so to speak, or 2 or 3, compared to the situation I was going. So this distance in life is what we call a problem. Problems are situations that at the time of you facing them, you feel smaller, lower than that situation. This is what we call a problem. So now the immune system triggers off. It goes off and say, well, what do I do to defend this? And then we have, if your defense mechanism is immature, this is what we do. We try to make a situation that it's 8, what we call a problem that it's 8, we try to make it 3. Basically, that triggers one of the fears that we will cover later on, which is the fear that I am not enough. The fear that I am not enough. So once we face a situation that it's larger than us, as we call problem, it triggers the fear that I am not at the stature, at the altitude of that problem. So what do? I try to minimize the situation by using these mechanisms. One of them is I ignore the problem. I postpone it. I procrastinate it. I move it into the future. I do nothing about it. Okay, that's one mechanism that it's immature, non-mature. This is not good one. This is not empowering you. Another way to do that is you blame somebody. You blame something. It's the economy of the country. Is what it's happening now with sanctions. But we blame, or it's this employee, or it's my spouse's fault, or it's my education, whatever it is, but you put the blame somewhere. By doing that, again, what you do is you escape from taking action from the situation. The third one is you complain, you moan, you whine, you just tell story, you just complain. And the fourth one is you justify. Basically, justifying is you create a story that makes a logic to a problem that you have and make you look good enough to have a logic on, you know what, but this is logical, what is happening, while deep down inside, you know that you are in the valley of excuses terrain. Make sense? So now, there are a lesson here, which is then, what shall we do? This would be what we call the victim corner. This is the looking at like a victim. Victim is an individual that ignores, blames, complains, but actually doesn't act upon the problem. So problems in life, they have a very healthy, powerful nature because it's one of the vehicles to make us grow. So there are 3 basically elements that we can use, and we will cover one of them very deeply, which is the story. But there are 3 ways. The first one, the goal is that the problems are here for us to become at the stature of the problem. We would not see the problems if we don't have the potential to solve them. If a problem is too big for our potential, we won't see it. If we see it, it's because it's larger than us today, but we have the potential to grow to the level of solving the problem. So there is a force of nature which is giving us problems for us to grow to our next level. And these are the 3 vehicles that we have to move to the next level. The first one is the emotional states. If you go to the left, the emotional states that we are in, the homes that from where we operate are those which are disempowering, which is like sadness, depression, hunger, frustration, doubt, this kind of nature things. Those states will take us to the left, which is how I make the problem smaller, as opposed to how I grow up to the problem. So here to grow on states is those like curiosity, flexibility, passion, power, strength, connection, flexibility. This type of emotional states will help you to grow to level 10. So nurturing your emotional health, it's key for you to have a successful life. Second one is the story, which is what is the story you run continuously about what your life is about. And I'll stop here because we will come back to here in a few minutes. I want to go deeper into that area to uncover what is the story for each of us. And the last one are strategies. Strategies, tools, or mechanics that we can use to understand how to solve the problem. Does this make sense? Yes? If that makes sense, raise your hand, say vale. Thank you. Thank you. And 80% for us to have an achieved life, and we are not still in the legendary life. We are still in the achieved life, which is quite a good one. 80% is our attitude, and we heard that from Nick this morning. It's about our states and the stories we manage. It's not so much about the tools. It's not so much about learning how to lose weight, because that's something we can get in the internet. It's about getting in the state to go into exercise and having a story, a compelling story that moved me into, I'm going to do that no matter what. So the only way to solve problems is to become bigger than the problem. For as simple and obvious as this may sound, the only way to solve problems in life is to become bigger than the problem itself. So rather than asking an easier life, we should be asking for a bigger I, for a bigger me. Rather than asking for smaller problems, I should be asking for more skills. So it's a game that it's about me, you know, how I grow up in life. Without that, there is a very interesting exercise that Dr. Seligman conducted in the USA. That was a long time ago, probably 20 years ago. And he was looking for, you know, what is that define happiness? And what it happens to be was that everybody defines happiness in a different way. For some people, happiness is joy. For some others, it's peace of mind. For some others, it's to feel loved. For some others, it's a different thing. So he says there is no one definition of happiness, but there is one element in common for those people that define happiness. And that element is that something, it's going to grow in me now, or I can see something growing in me in future, in the short-term future. So the growth is common element for those of us that we are in search of happiness. Now the question is, and where is growth coming from? It comes from solving problems. So problems are uncomfortable, but it's our best friend in life. What we call problems, for some of us we call challenges. If we really look at them as challenges, they are at the core of being happy. For those of us whose dream is, I want to retire, forget it. For those of us that says, you know, I would like to have a life of peace of mind, you can have that. And you can have an achieved life, but you won't have a fulfilled, legendary life. So, to close this section, I would like to leave with this thought, which is, what if life, it's not happening to us, but it happens for us? What if life doesn't happen to us, even if it's painful at times, but it happens for us? There is a deeper meaning behind every experience that we have, and that meaning is what part of you needs to grow now so that you bring your life to the next level up. And with this thought, we're going to do a stretch break here in the room. So we bring up some energy, which is one saying, I can't quote the author because I don't remember. But there is no biggest tragedy on earth, or the biggest tragedy on earth is to meet with a person you should have become. The biggest tragedy on your life is to meet in your life the person you should have become. So let's do one thing, because we are sitting for a while. Let's stand up for a second. Now let's stretch. Stand up. Music, please. Volume. Let's stretch a little bit. Stretch. Stretch up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's bring some energy to the body. Let's move that way. Come on. Some music, please. How you say happy? How you say happy? Child? Short? Short, happy. Put some more volume here, please. Come on, let's straight up. Now let's go over that side and make some noise if you want. Like, oh my God, I like it. Let's go all the way up. Stretch. Let's go to this side. I love it. Let's go over the front. Let's go all the way back to the back. Now look into the eyes of your neighbor and say, send them. Look at your neighbor in the eyes. Send them. Okay, have a seat. Have a seat. If you've seen that movie, is the father is selling copiers, and at this point in time of the movie, he takes the children to play basketball, and the children, now he throws the ball, and he tells the children, come on, throw the ball, after he failed first, if you've seen that, and then the kid said, no, I don't want to throw again. You're teaching me, this is not being said, you're teaching me that you should not fail. And you fail, and I'm learning not to even try. So the kid takes the ball to take it back home. And now the father starts telling him, whatever you hear in life,
don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something.
When somebody tells you that you can do something, don't accept it.
All right?
Okay?
You got a dream, you got to protect it. People can't do something themselves. They want to tell you you can't do it.
Can we have more volume?
You want something, go get it. Period. Let's go.
So he says, whatever anybody tells you in life that you can't, forget it. You can. But now the question, and I want to move into, remember the three elements that we have to raise up to the level of the problem, which is the state, the story, and the strategy. I would like us to go into the story, because the story in business and in the personal life sets the direction of your destination. What is the story that we tell ourselves? And our brain, it's not been prepared to make us happy. You know, one of the biggest breakthroughs for me is that I thought that we deserve to be happy. And we deserve to be happy, but our brain is providing us survival. It's to keep us alive, not to make us happy. So making us happy is our job. This is our job. So I'm going to tell you what is the personal story? And I would like to ask you questions around that. We have a software. Each of us, we have a software running. It's a story that we tell ourselves about what life should be. And this is different to all of us. In the video that we've seen, it was the father being the source of love to the children. The children was taking into the children's story what was good or wasn't good. So each of us, as we grow up and we mature, we're picking up and learning a story that becomes the driver of our business. And that makes us to lead in a certain way, makes us to behave in a certain way, make us dress in a certain way, make us find our relationship in a certain way. So all stories, they have a structure. And this I learned from my son. I also have a son, Carlos. What's my son's name? Carlos. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. You tell me they are the same as the script of a movie. You say, what is that? You know, we are talking about human development, how you bring your development to the next level up. He says, Daddy, there is a structure to life. Life follows a structure. The story follows a structure. And the structure is this. Follow me. It's, I am in a place. And that place could be an emotional place, could be a physical place, that could be a relationship, could be your town, your physical town, could be the company that you work for, could be whatever it could be for each of us differently. And then you have a calling that inspires you to start a journey, or you are fed up. You can no longer take staying in that village. Let me call it village. Being emotional, physical, relationship, whatever it might be. So out of that calling or that crisis, when you say, I no longer stay here, you start a journey. So first thing you do is you tell everybody around you, which is, I'm going to start a journey. And you know what happens to people? They cheer you up. They tell you, oh yes, go for that journey. Do they do that? No. They tell you, you know all the risks? Do you know all the problems? Are you sure that you will get what you want? What about the dangers? What about the risks? What about the problems you're going to have? Is it worthy? And then your calling starts slowing down, starts vanishing. But then you know deep down inside that you've been built for something bigger than that. You're built for something bigger than that. And then a mentor shows up in your life. Somebody that loves you, somebody that cares for you, or somebody that just come across in your life, pass through and give you a question. And the question is, what will happen to your life if you don't start that journey, if you don't do that journey? How miserable will you be if you don't do that journey? So you no longer question anymore. You start the journey. And as you start the journey, you start facing initially your demons, your shades, your fears. And you face them. And the demons are outside. Could be the economy. Are closer to you. Could be your teammates. Or could be the strongest and the most fearful one. Demon, which is where? It's inside you. It's you. But also you come across your angels and your lights and your forces. And they are outside as well. They are close to you. Your teams, your family members. And there is the strongest one, which is where? Inside you too. And then you realize that you started that journey for a fight. There was something, you know, a combat, a fight. And then you get ready for that. You plan for that fight. You start making plans. You even pictured yourself going into that fight. And you get ready. And that you know that the next morning you're going to go into that fight, and you wake up and you realize that there was no fight. There was no need for a fight. You started the journey because there was a part in you that needed to grow, and that's why you started that journey. So that journey was one, to take you to access to the dormant parts of yourself that you have not access, and you need them for the next phase of your life. So that is the structure of the journey, that once you take that, you realize that you've grown up, you go back to your town. And what happens then? Would you stay in the town? No, because you don't know anybody anymore. Because you grew up, and the rest of the people stay at the same level because they decided not to start the journey. They decided, in Natacha's example, to stay at the level 3 rather than grow up to the level 8. So when you're at level 8 and you come back at the people at the level 3, you don't feel connected. You may love them still, but you know that your life journey is somewhere else, and you carry on, and you carry on, and you start the journey again. So all of us, we have a story that we tell ourselves repeatedly, and that conducts and leads what is your destination today. So my question to you is that if your story would be a film category, a cinema category, what would that be? If your life story could be a film, a movie category, what could that be? Could that be a comedy, science fiction, adventure, war, love, romance, trigger, police? What would that be? Cartoon? Tragic comedy? What would that be? Because if your life, the story of your life and how you interpret your life it's a romance, then you will be looking for who to connect all the time. Even if you have to please other people to feel that connection. But you need to be congruent with that story of your life. If it's one of war or battle, you will be looking for what? For an enemy. And if not, you will create one. Because that's the story. We need to be consistent to how we define ourselves in the story of our lives. So the first one, what's the story of your life? Second question I would ask you is that when I formulate the question to groups and teams, usually they tell me, what is the role? Or I ask them, what is the role you would like to play? What is the role? And they tell me, actor. When you go deep down inside, most of us, we are actually spectators. So we don't even take an active role. So we have a passive role where we observe our life passing, without us taking an active charge on that. So then the first change that the teams do is, rather than than a spectator, what I'd like to do is an actor. Well, let me tell you what Carlos, my son, told me, which is, Daddy, you don't want to be either one. You want to be either the script writer, the one that write the script, the editor that cuts paces that are not interested to you anymore and remove it from the picture, or take pieces from other pictures and insert it into your life story, or the director that coordinates the whole thing, but not even a director. Once you are the script writer or the editor, then you can assign yourself a role and say, I want to take that role. But you assign it as an editor, not as an actor. So now the question to you is that, what is the role? What is your role in your story? What's your story and what is your role? And how is that affecting your relationships? How is that affecting your business? How is that affecting your health? How is that affecting the way you communicate with others? And what demons you need to let go of your story? Who you need to tell in your script, thank you for serving me until this part of the journey, but now sit down because this needs to continue with the different characters. And which ones do you need to activate as your angels and say, I want you now to play a full character, a full actor in the story of my life? What emotions you need to welcome again and reactivate? Which ones that you forgot, but that will make a legendary movie in the story of your life? What emotions? What new emotions? Or what old emotions that you forgot? Which ones do you need to let go? Resentment, tension, depression, anger, rage, frustration. And let in flexibility, curiosity, connectivity, compassion. And one last point that I would like to do as we go to the last section of of my speech is, how, if you feel okay, raise your hand and say, ballet. I see you're very reflective. Good, that's great. Then look at your neighbor and say, send them. Send them. I am alive. I am alive too. Send them. Send them. Yes, good. So, which is the last question I wanted you to pose back, which is, are you living a biography? Meaning that, are you repeating the life story again and again and again? So are you living in your past? Are you in your story a victim? That you can escape a trap of your own story that takes you back to the beginning all the time? Or do you access your freedom to say, you know what? I have a story that took me where I am today. But it's a bibliography, it's a book in which I can continue writing the next chapter. I can title the next chapter. I can put the direction of my story into the destination that I want to achieve. And I can write down what is my next chapter, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So the question to you is that, are you living a biography, so your past, or a bibliography, which is there is a past and it's in your book, but that is the last chapter. I will continue writing down my next chapters. So I wanted to ask you a question, and as we are approaching the last section, the last 15 minutes of this presentation, let's do one thing. Let's stretch. As you are sitting, let's stretch, but there in your seat. Oh, look at that. It feels so good. Do that. Let's go from. Let's go back to. Ooh, it feels so good. Do something with your feet too. Move your feet. Come on, just for once. Move your feet. So I like to cover, what is the essence in my life story? So we talk about how problems are a source, or they are at the core of the happiness to help us grow to the next level. So we expand and we develop as human beings all the time. And that the strategy is to access my story and my states to grow to the next levels up. But I'd like us to touch briefly on, okay, and why is that story the way it is? So if I want to make corrections, or I want to reinforce items, what would that be? So if I ask you the question, in a fight between a crocodile and a bear, if you believe that the bear will win, raise your hand. Poor bear. Okay, a little bit, I don't know, 5%. Look around, 5%. Poor bear. A little bit more. A little bit more. Who believe that the crocodile will win? Raise your hand. The crocodile. The crocodile is dead as well. No, more people will go for the crocodile. Well, there is a trap in that question, because it depends on the terrain. And what I wanted to raise out of this question is that we, consciously or not, we operate in a terrain. And the terrain I want to discuss about is the emotional terrain. And we've come to that place for many reasons, which are not for us to discuss today. But we have a shape, we have a physiology, we have a way of a unique being in each of us that makes us being the most effective one in one specific emotional terrain. Using that metaphorically, if the crocodile has got that shape and that tail, because it makes it faster on the water, makes it roll once it catches a prey, and rolls and take it down. But once that the crocodile is outside the water, it becomes a pain. It becomes a burden. So what makes the crocodile so effective in the water makes it counter-effective outside the water. The same applies for the bear. So the thing is that we are unique, and because of who we are, there are places, there are terrains, I'm going to refer to them as terrains, emotional terrains, in which there is a space for us to have a legendary life. And I would like us to quickly go into, what is that? What is that? So I want to take from one of my mentors and more beloved teachers that, by the way, it's you have a promotion outside, which is Tony Robbins. That it's performing in Russia in early September, and Zebra's group is promoting it. And he says there are 6 emotional needs that every human being have. The thing is that out of these 6, we value 2 over the rest. And that determines the direction of my life, the content of my story, because I'm valuing a specific set of 2 emotions over the rest. So we all have the 6 emotions, but needs, but we don't value all the same. So the first one, says Tony, and I call it the 6 engines that move the world, is, and we all have them, we all need them, but we don't value the same, all of us. The first one is the need for certainty. Other words for certainty is security, safety, control. Okay? And you can apply that into your personal life. You can apply that to business. You know how you control in business? Through planning. That's an empowering way to meet the need of certainty. But also you can use this empowering means, like, for example, micromanaging that Nick was covering in the morning. So you have vehicles that fulfill the needs, and some of them help you, empower you, some others disempower you. So, but the first one is certainty. And we all need a level of certainty, but not all the same. For some of us, it's the number 1. For some others, might be number 6 of the 6 we're going to cover. Then if you are completely certain all the time about what is going to happen, with whom it's going to happen, how it's going to happen every time of your life, what happens? Tony says that you have a boring life, basically. You can predict everything because you violate. And here we will start seeing where the conflicts come from. You start violating the second one. And the second one is the need of uncertainty, which is the opposite. So this is what starts making life so interesting, and at the same time, it starts making the life so difficult from a conflict standpoint. Because other words for uncertainty could be variety, challenge, change. And do we all have the 2? Yes. Do we all value the same? No. For example, in my case and in my family, my wife, Natalia, she values uncertainty a lot. Okay, whatever. Uncertainty. And I value certainty the most at home. I'm talking about at home. Okay? So let's go to the next one. The third one is significance. And significance is a need, which is the need to be unique, to be important, to be special. Do we all have that? Yes or no? Yes. Do we all value that the same? No. Now, what happens if you're absolutely unique and significant? That you are alone. Because you start also challenging the fourth one, which is connection and love, which is also one of the needs that we have as human beings. Now, out of these 4, we as human beings, imagine that you have a life that values significance and certainty. These 2. As an example. That will be a life that will be pointing in this direction, which is I need to feel important and take control. If you value the other 2, uncertainty and connection goes in the opposite direction, which is I value being with others and discovering new things. Make sense? So the choices we've made about, consciously or unconsciously, about what are the needs that I value the most determines the direction, determines the destination, and what is the components of the story of your life that we have defined before, or you have defined before for yourselves. There is a connection with the map of life, this imaginary map that we did before, which is we go here, we go back here, and we take significance, uncertainty. They tend to move us in the direction of the value of excuses. Takes us in that direction. If you take the second two, which is uncertainty and connection, help us pull in this direction. In this direction. Sorry, in that direction. In the direction of the achieved life. Because there is a reason why. Because it's a life of control. It's a life of rules, which doesn't let you grow. Grow. And a life of significance is one that will make you compare with others or with other situations all the time. So it will be a life of comparison and no growth. So that those forces which are needed, we need them. This is not right or wrong. We need them. And actually they could be at the fuel of making you successful. They make you coming down, or they can move you down into the valley of excuses. While the other two that particularly are excluded in business, they're usually excluded in business, they help you to move into the valley of expectations. But what we were interested to know is that, but how do I get to an achieved life, which is what I want to know. The first thing that we need to know is this, which is, as human beings, we tend to demand from others what we need. For example, I told you I value certainty very high myself. So I'm demanding from my family, from my colleagues at work, order, structure, methodology, rigor. You follow that? So I demand it from others. Well, the only way to experience them is that you give others exactly what you need. So if I need certainty, the only way to receive that is to give it. And by giving certainty to others, others will give me uncertainty or change. If what I need is significance, rather than demanding make me special, is I go and make others special and unique and recognize that. And by doing that, it will make me significant and will give me the opposite, which is connection as well. So what you need is exactly what you need to give. So, closing. A legendary life. We were talking about life, leadership, but also a legendary life.
Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another.
He was jailed unjustly for 27 years. He could have used his authority, his power, for retribution. He chose reconciliation.
Mandela is a special person, very, very sympathetic to other people, especially those who are struggling.
He is par excellence a peacemaker. I have the greatest of respect for Nelson Mandela.
Well, I wanted to look for, yes, let's do that. I was thinking about, what character could be respected across culture, regardless the color, religion, geography, and there are a few of them. But he's one of those that move me the most. And for those of you that don't know, the last person talking, Leclerc, was the one that was president before him. So he kept him in jail. And with this, I wanted to introduce, how you make a legendary life. And a legendary life requires specific design. We talk about the 4 needs, and I told you there are 6. So with the 4 needs, you can have a good life. But to have a legendary one, there are a number 5 need, which is the need to grow. The need to expand, and we touch on that already, which is how we solve problems by growing, by becoming more. Growing meaning I become more. And there is a sixth one, and these needs are called spiritual, which is to give unconditionally. So contribute, call it contribute. So if you touch on these two, if you have a very, very good potential to have an extraordinary, outstanding life. But what makes a legendary life like the one from Mandela is they connect these two with the two. And they make a design of their life, the core story, the how they face problems in life, a life that it's designed to become more, to give more. So how I become more, how I grow up to the next level, in a way that from that level I create even more value. For those in business, you can apply that to your customers. You know how I can become more valuable in my products, services, and solutions to my clients, so they get more value from my products and services and solutions. And as a human being, the same thing. How can I become a more complete, holistic leader in a way that I create even stronger leaders that supports me or goes behind me? So a legendary life is one designed around how I become more to give more. And those are those that, from whatever part of life or the world that you come from, we all respect the individuals, like you applaud Mandela. And it has nothing to do with me or us, but we all know it, and it moves us. And the last message is I want to circle this back to the way that Nick started this morning. And he said, have an attitude of gratitude. Exactly. So have an attitude of gratitude. So I'd like it to close it with, what does it mean, gratitude? And I learned this. I'm here with one of my professors. This is called Bill Davidson here. This is in a place called the Four Corners. The Four Corners. These are 4 states in the United States, which are actually connected by a quadrant, by a corner. So actually, you can have 2 hands and 2 feet, and having one piece of your body in 4 states. That's why it's called the Four Corners. In the Four Corners, it's the land of the Navajos, which is they are indigenous, and the Hopis. So we spend a retreat there, and in the mornings, we had a learning, which was a morning salutation. And we learned 3 things, which are the final message I want to leave you with. The first one was the way they salute the sun in the morning, how they started the day. And they started the day by saying, beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty around me, beauty above me, beauty underneath me, beauty inside me. That's the way they started the day, which is our role is to make everything beautiful. So that's one. Beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty above me, beauty underneath me, beauty around me, beauty inside me. That was lesson 1. Lesson 2 from them, or distinction number 2, was that there are 2 fears in life that we all suffer. And we touched on that a few times. Number 1 was, I am not enough. I am not enough. And that's a fear we all have. There are multiple fears, but these 2 we all share, which is the fear, I am not enough. And the second one is, I am not worthy to be loved. So because I am not enough, I cannot be loved. And we all share those 2 fears. But we also learn from the Navajo chief that you're going to see now, that there are 2 antidotes. And he said there are a place where you can live a legendary life, which is one to become more, to give more. And for that you need to access 2 emotional states where there's no fear. And those are gratitude and forgiveness. And what I'd like to do for the closing is to experience gratitude, so that we render tribute to ourselves, to our teams, to the people close to us, and that we do an exercise of gratitude. Are you ready for a gratitude exercise? Yes? So this is a relaxing, enjoying exercise in which I would recommend that you do every morning. This is how I start every morning. And let's do that together. It's a nice close exercise. So you can put your things aside. It will be a journey Like the story, journey, it will be a journey. But it will be a journey in which we learn as you put your things aside and you get relaxed and you put your feet on the table, that there are 4 directions, which is north, south, there's east, there's west, but there's a 5th one, that it's inside. And I would like to invite you for that journey, as you dim the lights, for that journey, which is a journey of gratitude. And this is as simple, if you can sit down, which is breathing from your heart. I thought this is gotta be very, very complex. No, it is as simple as breathing from your heart. So what I do, if you want to do it, I'm gonna do it with you. So let's do it together. So sit down, relax, put your hands physically over your heart. Put your hands over your heart, because we're gonna breathe from the heart. Take a deep breath in. Take a second deep breath in. Take a third breath in and close your eyes. Close your eyes if you will. And the journey of gratitude is as simple as moving the focus that is usually in our brain, hectic, active, and let that focus come down through your nose, touching your lips, your chin. It comes down to your heart. And feel physically your heart. And breathe with your heart. Feel the power of your heart. Feel the strength of your heart. And imagine how your heart becomes twice as big, 3 times as big, 5 times bigger. It's so big. Breathe from your heart. Take your breathing and thank your heart. It's always been there for you. Breathe from your heart. Feel the gratitude in your heart. And I want you to take a moment in your life. It could be today. The learnings from Nick. The people you've met. The decisions you've made. It could be yesterday, a week ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Could be when you were a kid, when you were a young girl or a young boy, and you felt those moments of deep, deep gratitude. And feel that gratitude in your heart. And feel the strength of your heart. And as you pick that moment, I want you to step into that moment. And I want you to feel what you felt right at that moment. What did you see? What did you notice? Who was there with you? That look, that word, that sensation, that's extraordinary, and thank your heart for that. The heart that it's been loyal to you from the time you open your eyes, unconditionally, and that will stay with you till the moment you close your eyes, asking for nothing. Just thank your heart. Feel the gratitude. Feel the joy in your heart. Think about what is amazing in your life today. What's extraordinary? What's working so well in your life? What could be working so well in your life today? Who do you love? And who loves you? When I wake up, I see the faces of my lady. And I see the faces, my children. I see their smile and feel it in my heart. I feel the gratitude in my heart. Feel it in your heart. Feel the power of your heart. Feel the gratitude in your heart. What's magical in your heart right now? Feel the grace in your heart. Take a deep breath from your heart. Feel the loyalty of your heart. Feel the love in your heart. Feel the love in your heart. Mercy. 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 5 minutes journey of gratitude. And this is a place where I don't know if you've seen faces you haven't seen for a while. And you have feelings that you have not had in a while. I am so grateful, if I can see the slide please. So grateful to have been with you again. And I want to leave you with this last thought, which is everybody, stand up for a second, please. Stand up. Stand up. If you feel grateful now, take your mobile phone and put your torch. Put your torch. Can we have some more volume, please? More volume. Higher volume.
ببر صدای موزیک.
So everybody in this room, look around, look around. Everybody in this room can count the seeds in an apple. Can count the seeds in an apple. Oh.
موزیک موزیک.
Can we have this again? Which is everybody can count the seeds in an apple, but only the Creator can count the apples in a seed. So I hope and I wish you a life of gratitude. I wish you a life of great problems and that you live to the stature to live them. I wish you a legendary life. Thank you. Mercy. Send them. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
کارلوس اسکاریو به افتخارشون خواهش میکنم.
Thank you. Thank you.
خب خانم ها آقایون بفرمایید خواهش میکنم. اولا یه خبر بهتون بدم. متاسفانه دکتر روستا پدر علم بازاریابی ایران به خاطر یک عمل جراحی در بیمارستان بستری هستن و کسالت دارن. برای سلامتشون دعا بکنیم. انشالله هر چه زودتر خوب بشن. به افتخارشون هم یه دست عالی بزنید لطفاً که بدونن به یادشون بودیم. انشالله هر چه زودتر